All right, we're joined by Chief Shannon Stone. Chief is the fire chief out of Midway, and Chief, welcome back to the podcast once again. We appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
We're trying to get shortish answers on single thoughts for what you believe the value of outside training is for a department. It could be a fool's conference, all the way up to FDIC, but the most important thing is what is the value of getting outside of the bubble of your department?
That's a great question. For me personally, the value is enormous. I kind of shared two stories with you. The first one was probably close to 20 years ago when I started doing a lot of training locally with people that were not from our area. And that was the beginning of me not knowing what I didn't know. Started realizing some things we were doing not that good in my department and learned a lot of new things. And that was the beginning. It's probably longer than 20 years ago. It's probably more like 25 years ago. But that was the beginning of a culture shift in my organization then, which was the city of Fort Walton Beach here in the Panhandle. The second part of that came probably 5 years after that, where I started traveling and going to conferences outside of our area. This was before conferences were big, but there were a few here and there. But once I started doing that and learning more of what I didn't know and the better way of going about doing things on so many different levels on the fire ground and within the firehouse, that started it started a major generational cultural shift in our organization, because it wasn't just me. It was me, a handful of other guys. Eventually, my brother got on the job. He got heavily into it, and day after day, year after year, of more people buying off onto this, we started actually seeing a change. And if you go back and look in our organization, dating back 20 years, we can tell you benchmarks throughout that organization and things that they do now today. That's a direct reflection from the guys, not just myself, but other guys in the organization that got outside of their bubble. So here's the question that really needs to be asked: is what would have happened if we didn't do that, or any organization for that matter? I would propose that if we didn't do that, then they probably wouldn't see a lot of the changes. And when I say we, is a group of individuals, and I think that's a fair statement in any organizations. The organization I'm in now, the Midway Fire District, the culture is very similar to what it was in Fort Walton. And you walk through the doors, and you're expected to go find out what you don't know. You're expected to go find out where you're wrong. You're expected to bring ideas back to the table. Job changes so much on a daily basis. It really does. Even more so now than it did, 30 plus years ago when I started, that it makes it even more important that you do that. And there's no question about it. I mean, it's going to make you a better rounded firefighter. It's going to make your organization better. And I'm speaking from my experience as a fire chief. This is what I cultivate and what I want, so that we can continue to move the needle in our organization to get better and to prepare for the next generation that's coming in. So to make a long story short, how valuable is it? Yeah, for me, it's probably one of the most important things we do organizationally and for a firefighter, such as my youngest, who is now beginning his career in the fire service. It's a non-negotiable with him. I mean, I still tell him that. He doesn't know that yet, but it's absolutely the changing agent. If I knew at 18 what he's going to know at 18, I would be a different firefighter now.
Oh, I say that so many times, Chief, and it's not my podcast, so I don't want to derail it. But like, I get excited for how like the stuff that I dump on the recruits. I'm like, man, if I would have known that,
Sure.
15 years ago, like I could have been so much better. What I did want to touch on for you as the fire chief is one of the things that you said is you try to bring into your organization outside training. So not only getting outside of your bubble, but Pearland also is very, very good about this down in Texas, is taking guys and bringing them in. So you're not relying on one guy, and I want you to touch on it, and you're not relying on a few guys to go out and grab something and bring it back, but you're saying, hey, instead of spending the money to send them out, let's just pay the guys to come in and then blanket teach the whole department. And obviously you think that's valuable because you talked about it at the table earlier. Why don't you just touch on that?
Yeah, yeah, that's an interesting point. And one of the main reasons we do that is because all firefighters aren't programmed the same. Now, when I was younger, I used to get frustrated when guys didn't want to take advantage and go to conferences. Now, I'm older and wiser and realize that that's just not everybody's cup of tea, and that's fine. I tell guys all the time, you don't have to be into the job and study it every minute of the day. What you have to be when you come to work is you have to give us 100%. That's it, and be into the job when you're at the job, because it matters. For those guys, most of them, they genuinely want to be good at the job, but they have other things that are important in life, and it just is not conducive to them to constantly travel. So what do? We bring it to them, and it just makes sense. We bring it to them so that they have access to it. Rarely do we run into an occasion where people don't appreciate it, because again, it is kind of the culture of our organization and the ones that we work with. And the second half of that is that two of the things that are worth mentioning is you and I spoke on this a while ago, is that there's a strategy behind bringing people in, and that's to reinforce what we're doing. So we're very selective of who we bring in, because we don't want to bring somebody who's going to go off the cuff on something that's against what our operational or leadership philosophy is. However, I will say this to that we work hard to know what we don't know. I've told guys this later in my career, is like, I'm intrigued to know when I'm wrong. Like, I really try to find out when I'm wrong, because I want things to be challenged, and that brings up such good dialogue. It brings up a lot of conversation. It brings up good ideas, and it creates an atmosphere and a culture where the firefighters, they want to do that. They don't feel threatened if they question the status quo, or if they question what we do. And bringing outside instructors in, every time, no matter how long you've been doing this, you will listen to something and you will walk away going, wow, that's good. Why didn't I know that? I was at FDTN last week,
Yeah.
and I told Jim McCormick, the owner of the facility, I said, Jim, I wish I would have found you 20 years ago, man. Like, geez, if I could have done this 20 years ago, what difference I could have been, but you just don't know what you don't know, right?
Oh, I know.
So a big goal of mine at the last, few years of my career is to do that with my organization, to provide all those opportunities, and get the guys to take advantage of things that I didn't necessarily have when I was a younger firefighter, so right or wrong, that's the way we do it, in the Panhandle. So
Excellent. You know that I could talk to you and your brother all damn day, and but I wanted to keep this tight intentionally, with a singular focus. So we appreciate it. Maybe let's go have a drink and maybe continue this discussion a little further. But Chief, we appreciate you coming on and just sharing your thoughts on outside training. Thank you.
absolutely, brother. Anytime.
Yes, sir.